Ladies and gentlemen, you have smoked almost 23 cigarettes today if you have been in the National Capital Region. Well, almost. Because some parts of the region dipped to 400 in the air quality index. And it's going to get worse. According to the Lancet Planetary Health Study, between 2008 and 2019, there have been 33,000 deaths in 10 major Indian cities across India due to pollution. Of these, at least half, almost half, 12,000 deaths are in Delhi alone, in the National Capital Region alone. Look at the worst cities: Ahmedabad, Bengaluru, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Mumbai, Pune, Shimla, Varanasi. It may be the worst in Delhi or the National Capital Region currently, but it's a reality across India. According to Clean Air Fund, India topping pollution charts, 21 of 30 world's most polluted cities in India. That's right. India is topping the pollution charts. 21 of 30 world's most polluted cities are in India. Delhi's PM 2.5 levels are 10 times higher than the WHO guidelines. 2 million deaths every year in India, $95 billion impact of dirty air to the Indian economy. Worse in parts of Delhi, like East Delhi. You are breathing nothing short of a periodic table, literally chromium, copper, zinc, lead, among many others. You may be hearing a lot about PM 2.5 now and in time to come as well, particularly the next 2 months. It is a danger level marker. Delhi, as we said, is 10 times worse than the WHO's permissible limit. So what is this PM 2.5? Allow me to just explain this briefly to our viewers who've been hearing a lot about it but don't know what really is. Well, this is a factor that causes irritation in the eyes, nose, throat, lungs, increases the risk of chronic bronchitis, reduces lung function, worsens medical conditions like heart disease, asthma, increases the risk of heart attacks, is severely impacting vulnerable sections of the society. And between all this, you have possibly the worst level of politics playing out. Back and forth. Remember, you have Chief Minister of Delhi, who has gone on to say that BJP wants people in Delhi to die. Why is all of this frothing happening in Yamuna near Chhat? Then you have BJP saying that Delhi has not been able to do anything. The Chief Minister or the Delhi Aam Aadmi Party is just about playing dirty politics and shifting blame games. This has been a story on story, year on year, but political blame game is only going to peak. Between all of this, you have some very scathing findings from the Supreme Court. And we will go through that in course of the discussion. But let's just look at the summary, the hard facts of what the Supreme Court said today. It is a fundamental right of citizens to live in a pollution-free environment. Government must answer how it's going to protect citizens' right to live with dignity. You have signaled to violators that nothing will be done against them. Your efforts to stamp out farm fires are mere eyewash. And your figures are reducing because you are not acting. Don't be happy about it. Supreme Court is not coming down heavily for the first time on governments, whether it be centre, whether it be states, irrespective of which political party is ruling it, because you have the Aam Aadmi Party, you have the BJP ruling some of these states. And it's not the first time, as I said. There's been some scathing observations by the Supreme Court over the last month itself. And yet, this is really where we are. But at this point, as I said, allow me to introduce my panelists to you. Dr. Naresh Trehan joins us. He's a chairman and MD for Medanta. I'm also being joined by Bharveen Kandhari, who's an activist and member for My Right to Breathe from Delhi, as well as Dr. Anil Gupta, who's a spokesperson for Delhi BJP, as well as advocate Anmol Panwar, who's a spokesperson for Aam Aadmi Party. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining me. But first, allow me to go to Dr. Naresh Trehan. Dr. Naresh Trehan, my first question, we have hit the 400 marker in parts of Delhi. It's only going to get worse when it comes to the air quality index. But as a doctor, as somebody who's been extremely vocal about what poor air quality index means for people living in Delhi, my first question to you, doctor, what has changed over the last few days?
Because people are having a lot of trouble. We have got 3 times the number of people coming in for respiratory problems, children coming in with respiratory problems, with exacerbation of their asthma, and the elderly people with the chronic lung disease are already in trouble. So this is just the beginning. So you can see what we are in for.
So, Dr. Naresh Trehan, if you're saying that, there's a 3x or 3 times rise in cases, what do you really mean by it? In how much of a time has this happened? If you could give us some comparisons to that.
No, normally our OPDs are seeing X number of patients a day who come in for asthma, or children coming with respiratory or spasm. Then that number has tripled in the last 2-3 days, ever since this air quality has been deteriorating.
Dr. Naresh Trehan, let me just ask you one more question. Let me just ask you one more question before I just go to the other panelists as well. 33,000 deaths. That's what 10 cities in India have witnessed over a span of time, a decade, according to the Lancet report. 33,000 deaths due to pollution, of which at least 12,000 are in Delhi alone, Dr. Naresh Trehan. What do you make out of this?
Yeah, so you see, it's not a surprise, because many years ago, we documented the difference between the lungs of people who are living in cities like Delhi and people who are living in Himachal or Uttarakhand and the mountains, where the air is much cleaner. I see them every day in the operating room. And it's become such a standard fare that we can tell just by looking at the lungs that they are city dwellers where pollution levels are high, because their lungs have streaks of charcoal gray lungs as compared to the pink baby type lungs in people who live in mountains and cleaner air. So we are actually, it's not a theoretical thing. It's a practical problem that we are actually seeing the damage being done on a daily basis. So people who are exposed to it, especially people who have pre-existing conditions like lung problems, especially the elderly and young children, are the worst victims of it. So kids play out in the field. Now, the only thing that you can help people with is the idea that during the day, when the sun is out in full blaze, the air gets heated and it rises. So the pollution level does come down in the middle of the day. And then again, as the sun sets, the air cools down and it starts descending back on Earth, and then it gets trapped here. So that's why we always say, especially to the elderly, that do not go out in the early hours or late hours of the evening. Do always, if you're going to go out, do it in the middle of the day. Children should not be playing outside very early or late in the evening, because the air quality keeps dropping. So that's why I think it's important for people to be aware of the fact that children who are already suffering from any respiratory disease like asthma and all should wear masks during this period if they are going to be exposed outside. People who can get access
Right. In fact,
to
Dr.
air
Naresh,
purifiers, of course, helps.
right. In fact, Dr. Naresh Saran, let me just get in question from Bharveen Kandari as well at this point. Bharveen Kandari, we've heard Dr. Naresh Trehan speak at this point. No surprises at all. This is just so heart-wrenching that one has to really live by this again, yet another year. But over the last few days, you are somebody who goes out in the field a lot. Bharveen Kandari, how are you all looking to cope for the next few horrid days that lie ahead?
Yeah, Sneha, unfortunately, we are once again, I mean, it's not even about 1 year, 2 years. Some of us have been actually fighting this and trying to make things better for decades. And as you've said it, and Dr. Trehan has said it all, there's nothing to repeat. There is absolutely an increase from the years when we were growing up. My daughters were born in 2003. We didn't know so much about nebulizers, but now every other child, every other young person is on nebulizers. They're on antibiotics. All the wonderful pediatricians who work and help us with the clean air work, they have very clearly said there's been almost a 40% increase of antibiotics that they have to prescribe to the children. And you and I know how antibiotics are affecting, and the resistance is going terribly, the children are getting terribly resistant to the antibiotics. So these are extremely, worrying facts for the parents. The figures that you're saying about, how many 33,000 people dying, these are the lives that can be saved for clean air. It's almost like saving 3 lives every minute. Every third child, this is a 2019 study by Lung Care Foundation, every third child in Delhi has damaged lungs. And absolutely, right. I want to reiterate what you've said. It's not about Delhi. It is now all over India. This is a problem where children and youth and, all the vulnerable people and citizens are all suffering. Clean air is no more a policy. It's never a policy. It's a human right. I think it should be treated like that. And sadly, the children are suffering, as we all see on the ground.
Bharveen, can I just ask you, you just said there's a 40% increase in antibiotics that is being given to children, according to pediatricians that are working with you. Could you explain to us this 40% increase is in a period of how many days? This 40% increase, essentially, does it mean it's not just antibiotics that's being given to them in terms of medicines, it's also the nebulizers and the use of nebulizers that have increased over the span of few days? Just so, I mean, it's hard, Bharveen, because I have seen over the last few days children as young as few months being put on infant nebulizers in hospitals. You would know that, you would be able to explain this better, Bharveen.
Yes. Nebulizers is, of course, another story. This is absolutely the antibiotics that the children, it's sadly in a couple of shows that and places where 7 and 8-year-old children actually said the names of the antibiotics, that because they are having them every day. So, that itself shows that this is their life. This is the life that we are giving them. This is the damage that has already been done and is being continued. So there is no other evidence that is needed. There's no other research. Everything. It's also, Sneha, something, of course, the doctors are here and they should be actually talking about this, but it's not only about the lungs. It is about every part of the body, because the PM 2.5 is actually going into your bloodstream and affecting every part of your body, and eventually, it becomes, it's translating into strokes and heart problems, etc. So this is absolutely not acceptable. It is really sad that what is happening. The hypocrisy of the elected officials is clearly showing and reflecting in all that is happening to our children, or they're living in, and also there is a huge amount of equity and equity issue here, on even justice issue here, because the masses cannot afford nebulizers and these expensive antibiotics. So they are suffering, and they will continue to suffer without even getting a relief for the various asthmas and the COPDs that probably they are affected by too, because, and also they are more vulnerable. So even if you say that air is the same everywhere, it's not, because the underprivileged is always taking the worse brunt of it. So these are things that are really reflecting, and as you said, on the ground, they're very clearly visible to see people suffering.
Right. In fact, let me just very quickly go back to Dr. Naresh Trehan. Before I go to my other two panelists, allow me 2 minutes before I come to both of you. But Dr. Naresh Trehan, very quickly, we are getting into the festive season. People living in the National Capital Region, by and large, know what they are getting into. But I think it's just so important to just drive this home again and again. What must one do now that the pollution is only going to peak? It's already crossed 400 AQI in some places. What must one do in this festive season?
That is, you're left to protecting yourself and your children and your family. So, one, stay indoors after dark. During the day, when the sun is out and the air is a little better, that's the time you could open your windows in case you need to ventilate your home, and if you have to go out. People who have already pre-existing conditions like asthma, chronic lung disease, which we call ILD, they should wear a mask and protect themselves, because during COVID, we all masked and we got used to it. And I think those people and young children, if they are going to be playing outside when the air quality is poor, they should also wear masks, because it's, especially the ones who already have irritable lungs. So what this does is, one, the PM like 2, 110, all these particulate matters, they actually accumulate inside your lungs and then irritate it, and some of them even cross the barrier into the blood. But more importantly, it's the noxious gases like SO2 and N2O, which actually transfer from the airs in the lung to blood, and it affects the neurological status of children whose brain is developing. So that's a very, very serious matter. The other thing is that people who are prone to high blood pressure, they start getting the exacerbation of their blood pressure. So you will see people getting high blood pressures. Also, even normal people will start getting headaches. So there are multiple symptoms and multiple toxicities that get into the body. Needless to say that it must be mitigated somehow or the other. There are some states which have not, like the stubble burning. I mean, multiple solutions have been recommended, but nothing has succeeded so far. The farmer says that it is his compulsion, it is his livelihood, so he is going to burn because no other solution has been provided to him. And I think as the different states or as a country ourselves, we should make sure that we do provide whatever it takes, because the toll is not only on the individual, but the toll is collectively on the country. Because hundreds of billions of dollars are lost to ill health in man-days lost of work.
Absolutely right. Couldn't agree more. Advocate Anmol Panwar, spokesperson for Aam Aadmi Party. We meet again. Good evening to you as well. Thank you for your patience. Supreme Court had some very tough, hard words. Panelists here, experts in their domain, have spoken facts. Lancet report is another fact. Clean Air Fund is another fact. Advocate Anmol Panwar, what will it take for the blame game to stop and for the political parties to apologize.
Sneha ji, thanks for having me. I think that the correct facts must be placed before the citizens, and they can make out what actually is happening in the country today. Today, the Honorable Supreme Court lambasted the BJP-ruled central government, stating that they are not at all concerned about reducing pollution. The Honorable Court, and in fact the whole country, was deeply shocked and surprised to learn that the law enforcement agencies don't have the power for sanctioning, because the Environmental Protection Act has been rendered toothless. They cannot strictly enforce the provisions of the Environmental Protection Act. This clearly indicates that the central government lacks the intent, the commitment to curb the rising pollution level. Today, entire North India is reeling under severe pollution. There's environmental emergency, but the BJP-ruled central government claims that it will take 2 more weeks to put the necessary mechanisms in place. And another major development which happened today before the Honorable Supreme Court, the BJP's conspiracy to suffocate the people of Delhi has been exposed. The BJP admitted the fact that without obtaining the permission of the Honorable Supreme Court and in violation of the law of the land, they cut 1,100 trees in Chhatarpur area. While on the one hand, the Aam Aadmi Party government under the leadership of Arvind Kejriwal ji is making every possible effort to combat the rising pollution, and we have been successful in reducing the pollution by more than 35% and increasing the green cover. But on the other hand, BJP is planning and plotting just to deflect the blame on Delhi or Punjab. But the fact is, this is a North India problem, because the data suggests so.
No, this is not even a North India problem, by the way. This is a North and a South India problem. It may just be worse
Certainly,
in parts of North India, but it is the worst in the national capital region.
It's a pan-India
Advocate
problem.
Anmol Panwar, since you have mentioned about the BJP-led center and the BJP-led states, and I do hope you did hear my introduction. I very clearly stated the facts that you did, especially about how the Supreme Court has raised that. I do want to ask you also the question about how the Supreme Court has taken some very, very strong observations on what they have called misguiding the Supreme Court, particularly when it comes to the facts being put by the Punjab Aam Aadmi Party government.
Sneha ji, there's no point of misguiding the Honorable Supreme Court. The fact is that we have already placed the action plan way back. It was around March. It was around March that the action plan was submitted before the National Green Tribunal and Commission of Air Quality and Management, which is a central government agency to check the rising air pollution. So there's nothing to hide. In fact, even the central agencies, the Indian Agriculture Research Institute admits that the stubble burning cases have significantly declined in the state of Punjab by more than 50% in the last 3 years and 70% in last year.
No, that's not what the Supreme Court has said. There was an observation to that. But again, facts and data have their own standing. If you look at what's happening over the last... No, if you look at what's happening, you may see it from the last year onwards, but if you look at for the period for the last 1 month, there's only an increase. So it really doesn't matter in terms of the long term what it is. The fact is, early on, we already have hit the 400 in the National Capital Region. But let me very quickly go to Dr. Anil Gupta. Dr. Anil Gupta, Advocate Anmol Panwar is saying the Delhi government has done all they can and BJP has its hands completely dirty.
Yeah, good evening to you and all the viewers. See, the Aam Aadmi Party spokesperson and the leaders have the habit of telling lie. I give you some facts for saying this. 4 days before, the Honorable Supreme Court has scolded the Delhi government for not taking care of 3,100 tons of C&D waste. You know, Delhi generates roughly 11,000 tons of C&D waste. Out of this, they are able to treat only 8,000 for last several years. And that is on record. You can check the Supreme Court. And this CND waste is the major source of this PM 2.5 and PM 10. See, you know, Delhi has roughly 28,508 kilometers of the road length. If you take your camera to each and every corner of any roads of Delhi, you will find lot of potholes, lot of dust. And that is the most source of dust mitigation. Nobody can deny, but Delhi government, Delhi leaders, the Aam Aadmi Party leader, the chief minister, they just do the cosmetic work. They are not working on the source of air pollution. You know, air quality index has 8 parameters. Normally 6 parameters are within the range, but PM 2.5 and 10. And you just mentioned about the 400. I just saw the figures. PM 2.5, Anand Bihar, and this Patparganj and all these things, average is 400, but they have attained the figure of 500 also. And every year for last 10 years, they create
no, that is not PM 2.5. Let me just correct you factually. That is not PM 2.5. If PM 2.5 levels reach 400, that's going to be a very, very different story. We may not be alive. That is the AQI, but please go ahead.
You can check.
They are habitual liars. Sneha ji, they are habitual liars. I think they must answer the country today that what concrete actions have you taken to curb the rising pollution in the BJP ruled state.
The lawyers interpret. This is the habit when the Aam Aadmi Party spokesman lies on the front of the national camera and they fight and they...
Advocate Anmol Panwar, allow Dr. Anil Gupta to complete his statement. Dr. Anil Gupta, please finish.
138 countries.
Dr. Anil Gupta, please finish. Dr. Anil Gupta, please finish. Please go ahead.
When they are caught red-handed, they have the... I'm finished. You just check the Samir app. The PM 2.5 is maximum is 500 today. And you know, the air quality index, as I mentioned, has the 8 parameters. The highest degree of any parameter is known as the AQI. And this advocate member, they may be telling lie in the court, but it is a technical subject that should come out. And what about the Honorable Supreme Court today told about the Punjab today? They have recorded in this season roughly 1,600 incident of fire, the stubble burning. And not only this incident, the area of the fire has increased. Last time they had the 19 lakh hectares of the fire. They can check. They have also mentioned about the air, which has an incident of 600. We are not supporting. Haryana has taken measures to make the red entry to the farmers. They are taking action. But Punjab, with the incident of 1,600 and a much larger area, the smoke, the Parali smoke takes roughly 1 week to travel to Delhi.
Dr.
And you know,
Anil
if you check the
Gupta,
AQI of the NCR region,
there are young children, elderly people who are lining up outside hospitals already. Those who are being injected with antibiotics, those who have had to go through nebulizers. Can I ask you a very simple question that citizens are asking? This blame game looks very beneath anybody's level. What both of you are doing, what both of you are trying to do and the political parties are trying to do is nowhere going to be a solution. We are going to be left to our fate to die or to manage to live. Both of you.
Sneha ji,
this is literally
you are right in your question, but allow me.
If you are saying Punjab is responsible, if you are saying Haryana is responsible, you are government. No, I have a question to both of you, and I will give exactly 1 minute to both of you. My question to both of you, allow me to finish my question, because this is a question that every single person on the street is asking. Sir, 1 minute. Allow me to ask both of you this question. A simple question. If you both are saying this is a territorial problem and you cannot get, because both of you are not cooperating, you both are elected governments. Can't India manage to get 2, 3, 4 states to work together to sort the bloody problem out? There are years on years. How many? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years that have gone by. How is this democracy going to function if people are dying as politics is being played? First, Dr. Anil Gupta, because you were speaking, you can conclude with this answer, and then Advocate Anmol Panwar.
See, I am talking in the technical terms, and as you record my views, you can verify all these things. See, the major source of air pollution in this season is the dust. Who's responsible to clean the Delhi? Delhi is full of garbage. Delhi is full of C&D waste. Delhi is full of dust. They are not talking to clean Delhi. Because in this winter season, when the dispersion is not much, the dust mitigation that add to the air pollution, the air quality index. Normally of the season, before the winter, the AQI is below 200. Because of these 4 months, it is there. Last year also we discussed. And Delhi government has a lot of budget. They have a budget of 76,000 this year. And they had a budget of 6 lakh crore for last 10 years. But they are doing only the cosmetic, but they are not killing. They are not stopping the Punjab farmers.
And what about your budget? Because Supreme Court had some very, very tough and hard words for the BJP-led centre and BJP-led governments as well. आपसे तो मैं बात कर लूंगी. I will ask Aam Aadmi Party exactly these questions, but how about answering what the Supreme Court asked you? 30 seconds, 40 seconds. Yes, Dr. Anil Gupta, please.
Yeah. You are asking me. You stopped me. See, last year,
yes, Anil Gupta, because I'm asking you, you have blamed the Aam Aadmi Party enough and they are to blame for sure. But the Supreme Court had some very tough questions for BJP as well, Dr. Anil Gupta, please.
I'm replying. I'm replying. See, last year, under National Clean Air Program, Central government has given 38.22 crores to Delhi government for dust mitigation. What they did? They spent only 10 crores 77 lakhs. This is on record, you can verify it. They are not doing anything to clean. For the stubble burn. Last year, Central government has allocated 3,330 crore rupees for machines. 1,50,000 machines for this stubble management, stubble parali management, is lying in the godowns of the Punjab government. This Punjab government is not giving those machines to the farmers. You can check the records. So center is doing under this thing, under the NCAP program. Out of 20 cities, last year, Delhi government had a rank of 9.
Okay, Advocate Anmol Panwar, please respond. I'm out of time. Advocate Anmol Panwar, please respond.
Before the Honorable Supreme Court, this Commission of Air Quality Management was formed because the central government gave an undertaking that it will coordinate with all the concerned states and work in the direction of reducing the pollution. But despite Delhi government writing more than 4 times to the central government, to the CAQM, they have received no response. Mr. Gupta must answer. The nation wants to know that why are they not responding? Why are they not concerned about the rising pollution levels? And what concrete actions have they taken in the past decade to reduce pollution? Because it's not just about Delhi. It's very easy to blame Delhi every time when there's rising pollution. What about Haryana? The pollution has increased by more than 1.5 times in last 1 year. 20 most polluted cities of the country are in Haryana.
But Anmol, Mr. Anmol, Advocate Anmol, the Lancet report says out of 33,000 deaths over a decade. No, out of the 33,000 deaths,
it's not just about
12,000, at least half of those deaths are in the national capital, are in Delhi, in fact. And this is for 2008 to 2019, a decade.
Today, your channel itself mentioned that there are more than 4,000 incidents of stubble burning in the states of UP, Madhya Pradesh, and the adjoining Uttar Pradesh. And they are more than the number of incidents which took place in Punjab in last 1 month. Now, what is the BJP government doing to combat that? The most polluted cities around Delhi are Greater Noida, Meerut, and Ghaziabad. What about that? What are they doing?
Okay,
are they switching to EV policy? Are they providing 24/7 electricity? Are they boosting the public transport system? No. That is
Okay,
why.
all right. Let me
That
just
is
go to
why
my
we are
other
facing,
panelists
Delhi
as
is
well.
facing
Bharveen,
the
you have your
problem.
hands up, but please allow me, before I come to you, Bharveen, just let me go to Dr. Naresh Trehan first. Dr. Naresh Trehan, my question to you is, what do you make out, as a doctor, what do you make out of the politics that you just saw, the politics at play between the two political parties?
Look, there is nothing new about what's happening this year. It's happened every year at this time of the year. And I always hopes that things will be quite different this time, but it's not happening. The stubble burning is still going on. The pollution caused by dust from construction sites is going on. There is toxic air coming out of all the sorry. There is toxic air coming out of all the automobiles and diesel generators. So everything is adding up. And if we continue like this, it's going to be even worse as we go along, because the weather is, as it turns colder, the air gets trapped. If it's already the beginning of what we've always called a gas chamber, it'll become worse as we go along. So that's why I think this is, what is bothering me is that we know it's going to happen every year. And people are also responsible for it, because they do not agitate throughout the year to say, these are the things that we need for our safe living. Why are we subjecting our children, our young children, because young children not only get affected in their lungs, but also their brain development can get affected because of the noxious gases. So this is an all-around problem. And I think that we always wake up, even the media only wakes up when it hits us on the head.
Well, Bharveen Kandari, you had to say something. Please go ahead.
Yeah, now, Sneha, so of course, when we are talking about, all the arguments happening on stubble, I think you and I will not be, beyond 2 weeks, we will not be even talking about stubble. But the rest of the year, there are all the other emissions, that play a role. And we are somehow, get into this debate of who, where, how much, when. While every source of emission, the children who are actually choking, who are on nebulizers, on antibiotics, ask the parents what they're going through, what our children's lives will be. We already know from AQLI study that our children will live less number of years than any child who's in a cleaner air. This is absolutely not done. You cannot, if one has cut 1,100 trees, the Delhi government is giving permissions to fell 5 trees an hour. If, solid waste management is something that's absolutely a failure on part of both the governments in every way. We have a monstrous incinerator right in the middle of a city. Even while GRAP is invoked, the incinerator is going on. There's a huge amount of pollution. There's huge amount of violations happening, but that doesn't come under the GRAP. So these are the kind of policy, these are the kind of the real on-ground changes that need to be brought in. Everything is about techno fixes because they are visuals. Both the governments like to show things. They like to approve things. They like PR headlines, and that is what is damaging our children. I mean, I'll just like to conclude with something today. I don't know if, you heard about it, that the South Delhi today did not get any water because there was extremely high amount of ammonia in Yamuna. How do you control the toxicity that our children are breathing every day of their lives, all around the year? It's not about these 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. It's about the whole year that they have. We've never had good air days. So that they are actually breathing, we are actually breathing that toxicity every second. So is there a way to kind of stop it, pause it? No, because air is something so important that we are actually breathing 24/7 of our day. The whole lifetime, it is something that's needed, and we don't give it the due importance that it needs to be. And
Bharveen,
sadly,
can
this
I
is
ask you
the
something?
bickering, as much
because
as some
you
things
are
I
a
do agree
mother,
with both,
you
but
are an
most of the things I don't agree
activist,
with both.
you work with civil society, you're passionate about this. You're a voter. You're an Indian. You live in Delhi. There are so many aspects to you that is common with the rest of the people who are living in the national capital. Can I ask you a very simple question? The responses from the governments, does it anger you?
Yes, absolutely. To the point that some of us have become so cynical that even, at some point you just feel that nothing is going to, it's decades now, Sneha. There many have been working on this. They're simple things. They are very, very simple policy. It's just needs to be implemented because we are in denial. The governments are in denial. They are pretending. They pretend something. So that is why all the lies come out and all this happens. It's not like they have the brains, they have the power, they have the money, they have everything. But this, I mean, simple things as your pollution boards don't have people working there, officers. Your vacant posts for years, we are saying that. And, it's been said that the center interferes and the center says Aam Aadmi doesn't do. They are such simple things. Your techno fixes are useless. You wasted years on smog towers. Now you're wasting years on the farmers are coming on the national TV and saying that the harvester threshers don't work. It's as simple as incentivizing them with money to get back into
totally out of time.
The labor-intensive harvesting that they were doing initially. So, yeah. Thank you.
Right. Just one thing. India has a rich history of federal cooperation, and often it's also known as a union of a federation of states because each has a very different entity. But this is just one another example of how that legacy just comes crumbling down. And the citizens are paying a price for it. Dr. Naresh Trehan, Bharveen Khandari, Dr. Anil Gupta, as well as Advocate Anmol Panwar, thank you very much for joining us. It's time for a very short break. On the other side, we'll bring you the latest.